Hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Capital City Matters. My name is John Landwehr. Now, I used to be your mayor, but I've recently been replaced by a very fine administration with Eric Strumpf. And we've been doing this program for a while. It's an opportunity to take a look at some issues in depth. And we talked about it a little bit, and we thought, well, why not continue the tradition and talk about some things in the community, maybe not so much politically anymore, but just things going on in the community. And I'm very glad to have with me a couple of very nice community leaders. We have Larry Benz, who's the director of the Cole County Public Works Department. And we have Chuck Weber, who is a volunteer. And Chuck and Mike Bates, who could not be with us, Chuck and Mike are co-chairs of a committee that is bringing to the voters a very important issue in June. Chuck, what's gonna happen in June that's so important for the community?
Well, excuse me, John, on June 7th of this year, the citizens of Cole County will vote on a proposal to authorize the county to renew a capital improvement sales tax, which will be called Proposition A. Unlike the trash Proposition A, this is an extension or a continuation of a sales tax, capital improvement sales tax.
Now, a lot of us refer to this particular sales tax cycle as Cycle F. We're going to get as many letters as we can here to confuse everybody. It's Proposition A because it's the first thing on the ballot that people will see.
Correct. And the only thing.
We refer to it as Sales Tax F because there have been several of these before, right?
Right. The first capital improvement sales tax was in August of 1986. And at that time, the citizens of Cole County, we were having a difficult time funding the kind of projects, road improvements, bridge improvements, capital improvements out of the existing sales tax or the existing tax structure. And the citizens came to us or came to the county commission and said, we need something that we can fund these projects with. And so that was sort of the birth of the capital improvement sales tax.
And so this is coming up. The voters will be asked to vote on Sales Tax F. So by my count, there have been 5 previous 5-year cycles.
Correct.
Where the voters have endorsed this. Larry Benz is the director of Cole County Public Works, and Larry is probably the person in Jefferson City and Cole County who knows most about where this funding has gone and how critical it is. Larry, when we talk about capital improvements, I know it's an accounting term and maybe even a legal term, but from your perspective, what types of things does this funding mechanism allow Cole County to do as opposed to everyday business?
Everyday business for us is the normal maintenance items that we do, you know, grading gravel roads, that type of thing. What this sales tax allows us to do is actually upgrade some of the roads from gravel to paved. We've also partnered on several projects with not only the city but with MoDOT, and it's allowed us to move our community forward.
I've noticed in government that, and some businesses are this way, but you kind of look at a very close windshield in terms of this year's budget, and if you can get past this year, you breathe a sigh of relief, and then you don't look out very far. Now this is a 5-year program.
Exactly.
What does the 5-year run give you the opportunity to do?
Well, it allows us to do larger projects. We know roughly what the sales tax brings in on an annual basis. It allows us to plan forward, look at a lot larger projects. That's how some of the bigger ones were able to be done, the Highway 179, the Algo Industrial Area, those type of areas. Just planning from year to year, it really hampers staff to be able to try and get out in front of where the population's going and what it demands.
Chuck, it's a 5-year cycle. That means that you or your predecessors go back to the voters every 5 years. It's not a permanent tax. What does that mean in terms of your presentation? What do you try to tell the voters?
Well, what we try to say is back in 1986, the County Commission, in order to be more accountable to the citizens of Cole County, instituted 2 programs. One, they told the taxpayers exactly where they were going to spend the money. Although in a capital improvement sales tax, legally they have to spend the money on capital improvements, they went further and said that they were going to take 85% of that dollar and pay for road and bridge type of improvements, infrastructure, if you will. And 15% would be used to make capital improvements in county facilities. So they told the taxpayer how they were going to spend it, and then they said every 5 years there'll be a sunset on this particular tax, and you'll be able to judge whether or not we did what we said we were going to do. That started in 1991, was the first continuation or renewal, if you will, and it's been renewed, as you say. This will be the 5th time, and there's 25 years of history of the county commission doing what they said they were going to do.
So it's fair to say it's not a new tax.
It's not a new tax.
Not a new tax.
Right.
You know, the 85%, 15% split is interesting, and I suspect, and I'd like your guys' perspective on it too, I suspect that the average voter may be concerned that if a government gets a hold of a considerable sum of money, that they're going to start just to build city or county facilities and improve their office space and build an annex and do things that government sometimes do. This commitment to 85% of those funds are going to go really outside where the rubber meets the road. Basically, infrastructure and roadway type projects, right, Larry?
Exactly. That's what it's been used for the last 25 years. And 16 of those 25 years I've been here, and I can tell you that's what it's gone for. We've done a number of bridges over the time I've been here. You know, just point out a few of them. Nine Hills Road was a very large structure we did. We redecked the one on Wardsville Road. That was a joint project. Half the bridge is in the city and half of it's out. We've done just this last summer Walnut Acres, which is again was an old through-type truss bridge. It had weight limits on it. We were able to take it down and replace it. So we've also, over the last 25 years, we've paved approximately 170 miles of road in the county. We currently have right at 470 miles of road, and roughly 170 of it's still gravel yet.
You know, the other thing, just from a voter standpoint, now that I'm not an elected official, see, I can just be an average voter and be very suspicious about all this stuff, right?
Right.
I think a lot of average voters think in terms of taxation, and they think in terms of, well, we're gonna go hire a bunch of more government employees. So really going back to the concept of the capital improvements, there's not one governmental job that is funded or created by this tax, right?
Correct.
Yeah,
exactly right. We like to say that the citizens, the taxpayers, are getting 100% return on their dollar. None of it is used for overhead or administration. It's all dollar for dollar being spent to upgrade roads, bridges, and then capital improvements on the county facilities.
Now, on the other hand, in terms of jobs, there are a lot of local contractors and industries that benefit greatly from these pretty significant projects, especially during these times when the economy is a little bit sluggish. Having some of those good construction jobs stay online, I think, is critical for the local economy.
You know, by the state statute, we can't just give it to local. We have to bid it in, accordance to state statute. But we've been very fortunate. We've got some good contractors here locally that have bid it. They've done well on the jobs, not only for us, but for themselves. They kept their workers employed, and in turn, we got a good job out of it. So.
Well, and recently, not to take advantage of a situation, but what we've seen in the last few years at the city, and Larry, I know you've seen it at the county level, it's a very competitive environment, and
right now,
we're getting, we the taxpayers are getting quite a bit of bang for their buck in terms of some of those bids are coming in 15% lower than estimated.
We're consistently seeing them come in 10 to 15% underneath the engineer's estimate. Just a few years ago, what we were seeing. So yes, we're getting our money's worth out of the economy right now. a lot of contractors are taking a lot of their profit out of it just to be able to keep their employees working. So it's, you know, we're getting a good amount of work for our dollars.
Chuck, from an economic development standpoint, there are those of us, I think Mike Bates, your co-chair,
Right.
has said this a lot, and a lot of people say that economic development in general is driven by transportation improvements. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, and he's much more knowledgeable about that. He's been in the game for such a long time, but obviously so. And if you look at the projects that we've done, the Algoa, we have the county. Cole County has one of the best county road systems in the Midwest, and you know, the percentage of hard surface roads that we have, excuse me, are second to none. And you know, the proof is in the results, and they've just done a fabulous job.
Now, it's a sales tax.
Yep.
You know, there are various ways for governmental entities to obtain funds to do their work. Property tax is not very popular.
Right.
It tends to affect, I think, especially older homeowners, fixed incomes. Both the city and the county have kept property taxes low. I know the county even replaced some of its property tax in the course of the ambulance tax thing. This is a sales tax. What are the pluses and minuses of a sales tax as opposed to some other sources of income? Chuck?
Well, the one aspect, the University of Missouri Extension Division did a study that in Cole County, 35% of the purchases made are from people that live outside the county. And so one of the pluses of using the sales tax is people that are not residents and did not vote on this are spending money here, and we're profiting from that. We estimate the receipts for this phase of the sales tax to be $26 million, and using that 35% figure, that's $9.1 million of improvements that come from people that live outside of the county. So that's a positive.
Well, it's positive from our standpoint, and yet it's eminently fair, I think, because
Yes.
folks who drive through Cole County to get from point A to point B, they're using that infrastructure.
Absolutely.
And so for them, if they stop and buy gas or go to a restaurant or go to Walmart or something, for them to chip in, I think is fair, and just. So one thing that our voters can keep in mind, though, is that really there's a significant percentage of that budget that, because it's a sales tax, is not paid for by local residents. You know, the city and the county, I'll have to put a little plug in for the city because they've been companion programs.
Right.
All 5 of them in the past have been companion programs. We've asked the voters to take a look at them on slightly different dates. I think because the county wanted the opportunity to present their package to the county as a whole and have the voters analyze that, and the city wanted that same opportunity to allow the voters to look at their package.
Right.
The county vote is in June, on June 7th.
June 7th.
And then the city will follow up with its program in August, I think.
That's correct.
Right.
And so voters don't hear much about the city program right now because we kind of stay back and let the county folks kind of explain their program, and that's appropriate. In the last, I think really, and I'm too young to remember back too far.
Right.
But anyway, I recall that sales tax E, which would have been the cycle that we're finishing up now, I think it was really sales tax E where the city and the county, they had always kind of done projects cooperatively.
Right.
But as I recall, it was sales tax E that were really, there were some actual projects where one project would be jointly funded.
Right, and this is first sales tax, at least in the time I've been here, 16 years, where we actually have joint funded projects. In the previous sales tax, we actually worked on the one on South Country Club. City did their portion of it and we did ours. So yeah, it's been a good sales tax. I mean, we're working together.
Right. Gentlemen, we're going to just take a quick break, and then we're going to come back and we're going to talk about some of those specific projects, both the ones in the past and the ones that might be coming up. So stay right where you are. We'll be back in just a few minutes, and we'll see some of those specific projects.
In the next 60 seconds, 12 people in our world will go blind. One of them a child. Hello, I'm Jimmy Carter. Experts predict in the next 15 years, the number of blind people could double to 75 million, yet 80% of blindness is preventable. Lions Clubs International has long been a champion of blindness prevention. I know because I am a lion. Since 1990, Lions Clubs have saved the vision of 24 million people in countless communities through the Sight First program. Now, Lions have launched campaign Sight First 2 to expand blindness prevention programs worldwide and save the sight of 37 million more. Vision improves lives. We need your help. Support your local Lions Club. Save sight through campaign Sight First 2. Donate, volunteer, get involved. For more information, visit www.lionsclubs.org.
2 o'clock. Okay.
Your employees who serve in the National Guard and Reserve may seem different. They may work a little harder, be more confident, more willing to make the extra effort to get the job done right. So when your employees need time off to serve, remember, it's not just good for our country, it's good for your business.
Glad you could all make it.
Welcome back, everybody. I've got Chuck Weber, who's the co-chair of a Citizens Committee, explaining to the voters who will be voting on June 7th why another extension of a sales tax, capital improvement sales tax, is appropriate. And I have Larry Benz, who's the director of Cole County Public Works, who is responsible to make sure that it all gets spent correctly. Right, Larry?
Exactly.
While we're on the break, Larry reminded me probably of the most important component of this tax, and that is that every dollar is really put into the actual bricks and mortar. There are no government jobs that are created. There are no increases in salary or anything like that, right, Larry?
Exactly. It all goes into actually building infrastructure. We don't use any of it for any employee or covering any fringe benefits or anything else. It's all, like you said, bricks and mortar.
We've had pretty good success, really. You know, this is F, which is the 6th cycle. So, for five-year cycles, the voters have taken a look at the scorecard, as Chuck indicated, and the approval rating has been kind of astounding.
It has been.
What have we been running in the last few?
Well, in the last election, we actually had like 78% of the vote that was in favor of it, which for tax, you know, even not a new tax, just continuation. That's our citizens have always been up in that range every time we've tried passing this or extending it. So. Well,
and one of the things I think that generates that approval is that you can go back and you can show voters exactly what you've promised and what you've accomplished. We've got a couple of slides that I hope they're going to work. Art did a good job of putting them together. The first slide, I think, is we named it D. Larry, you're most familiar with most of these projects. Why don't you?
This is one of the projects that we put together. Christie Drive used to basically dead end up there by Riley Chevrolet. And working with a developer in that area as well as the city, we did a joint project where we extended it through this development and actually opened up some prime property there for development in the future. It was a good starting project for us that we started off with.
Now in the background you can see where 179 crosses 54
Right.
and then converts into Route B.
Right.
Right. And then as it loops to the left, that eventually comes back and hits B, correctly?
Right, correct. And it ties in, and Christie actually extends now across Route B and then goes on up on the other side. So it was a good project. It gave us a bypass around the 54 interchange where we didn't have to have all the traffic up at Ellis Boulevard.
Really what I've noticed as we go through the list, there's a term that we bump into all the time, and it's arterial roadways.
Yes.
I noticed a lot of those. What's an arterial roadway?
Arterials, the ones that basically are your main traffic ways. That's where your side streets come into it. It just collects everything together and takes it through your community.
And really, you know, the other types of streets would be like local streets. We usually require developers to build local streets. If there's a little street if there's a subdivision, that's that private developer that's going to build that. But
Right.
my impression is that arterial streets benefit everybody, not just the developer.
It's not just the developer. It's for everyone. That's how we get back and forth to our businesses, get to our homes and stuff, and they collect everything and take it to and from. So
the next slide is one that's over in my neck of the woods. It's the East McCarty project. We renamed City View and just called the whole stretch of road East McCarty just for clarity purposes, but we're looking east toward Lynn, and up there on the right is the Walmart. Larry, talk about that project a little bit.
this section of Highway 50 had a lot of issues. We had a lot of at-grade intersections where we're having numerous accident injuries as well as some fatalities. When Walmart was considering to build it in this area, they came forward and we worked with them, MoDOT, and the city again to get this constructed. We all have funds in it. MoDOT put some in just for the safety issue, and we were able to construct a very viable interchange there that's that area grow.
I got to tell you a little story. I was talking to a group of high school students, and we were talking about projects, and this goes back about 5 or 6 years ago, and I used the word grade crossings. And of course, Larry, tell us what a grade crossing is.
Grade crossing is where you have a side road enter into a major highway at the same elevation. Right. And the common terminology is at grade crossing, and I'm sure that probably raised some eyebrows with them.
Well, what's interesting is one of the students, they had to do a little report to make sure that they were awake during Mayor Landwehr's speech, because I can get a little long-winded sometimes. And one of the students, he wrote about not the grade crossings, but the grave crossing, G-R-A-V-E. And he was kind of right on.
Yes.
Because that stretch of road, what we were able to accomplish with that project was there were a lot of those grade crossings, and as Larry indicated, as a car that's traveling 0 miles an hour tries to enter a roadway where they're traveling 75, that's an accident waiting to happen. And we in fact had 2 fatalities prior to the construction of that project. We had two grade crossing accidents. One was a Halia student. So
yes,
that's a project that I think is literally saving lives.
Exactly.
Next one is one that is really significant that we've kind of gotten used to really in town, and it's F, and we now just think of 179 as being as if it was there forever. But Larry, tell us about that.
This is a project that, again, myself and Chris Yarnell and Marty Brose were at a conference, and we had a speaker there that talked about forming transportation corporations. We've been talking for years about trying to extend 179 on through and around Jeff City and back into 54, and this gave us an avenue to be able to do it. We formed a corporation, and the city and county combined funds again to where we could fund or purchase the bonds to be able to get this built, and it turned out to be a super project for our community. It allows, it's a good bypass around the core of Jeff City where you can come in and turn on to 54 and 50, and it's really helped. So, and we're seeing development out in that area now. The new St. Mary's Hospital is being proposed on this, which couldn't have been built there before.
again, back to Chuck's point, transportation generates economic development.
Absolutely.
St. Mary's needed a new site, and if we didn't have one available to them on a good new, and they needed a lot of land,
Right.
and so just the availability of that land and that we didn't think about that when we were funding it, but we were thinking in economic development, and sure enough, having that site available is just huge.
And it's a big driver for our community. There's going to be a lot of, over the next, I think they've estimated like $40 million just in economic development benefits to our community that would be coming in with this new hospital.
The next two slides we were talking about in sales tax E, really, there'd been a lot of cooperative stuff going on all the way through the years, but really, as I recall, in sales tax E, the one that we're ending up now, was the first time, as I recall, where there were actually projects that were jointly funded and jointly managed. And Larry, we're looking now at East McCarty, is that right?
That's correct. When the prison redevelopment came about, we were looking at traffic flows. As we all know, Whitten Expressway, especially during rush hour, experiences some backups there. What we're trying to do with East McCarty is give another arterial road where people can get to not only the new prison redevelopment area and the federal courthouse, but also downtown Jeff City. This first phase started out there at the interchange by Walmart and went down to about Daisy Delight. What we were able to do is come in there and construct a 3-lane section with sidewalks there for the neighbors to be able to use. And it's just another method that we're trying to alleviate some of the problems out on Highway 50.
The next slide, it was in sales tax E, and we'll talk about some of the things in sales tax F in a minute. Hopefully we have time. But we've been looking at the Missouri State Penitentiary redevelopment area very hard in terms of a place where we can get a lot of bang out of our buck on capital improvements. And Larry, what are we looking at here?
This is the phase 1 of Lafayette Street, the extension. What we're trying to do here is to get the main arterial road into the prison redevelopment upgraded to where we can attract businesses to that area. What you're looking at here is on the right-hand side, you can see the new federal courthouse. It should be completed this summer. And we're actually, where we're sitting at taking this picture is would have been inside MSP, inside the walls. You can see the old administration building up there on the left. So it's going to, that's one area they're already with the tours. They've opened that up, and it's turning in quite the attraction for us.
Now, the next couple of slides, we're gonna try to get out the crystal ball a little bit and tell voters just a couple of projects that you would envision in the cycle F that they would be voting on. And as it stands, a couple of those projects are really continuations of things that you're already doing. Art, the next slide is, again, East McCarty, right?
Right. This is down more in what we call the bottom area. This would be from Eastland out to about Daisy Delight. We're projecting it to go to bids later this summer. And once this is completed, we'll have the road upgraded all the way from the interchange to where it enters back into the city by Eastland there.
Now, there's kind of an historic structure there on the left. Art, can we bring that back up again? There's an historic structure there, A1 small engines. You're not going to affect CB, are you?
No, we're able to get the road in there without causing it. There's going to be some periods of time where they're going to be inconvenienced, but no, the historic structure of CBs will be able to stay there.
And then finally, we have another phase of Lafayette Street. We're looking now south toward Lincoln University, down toward Whaley's East End Drug. So if we can get the interchange project completed down on Lafayette, that streetscape will come on up.
That's correct. This is phase 2, and it's under construction right now. It should be completed later this year. One of the projects that we don't have slides of that we're going to be doing jointly is the extension of Wildwood. It's going to be something that we need to look forward to next during the sales tax.
Larry, Chuck, this is quite a history, 25-year history of really success and voter acceptance. I appreciate you guys coming on board today to talk about an important vote coming up on June 7th. As Chuck indicated, it's a sales tax. We get help from folks outside the county. And as Larry's indicated, from the standpoint of local residents, Jefferson City residents, there's quite a bit of value in that county sales tax because some of those projects are right here in Jefferson City.
Exactly.
Guys, thanks for coming. Thanks for all your hard work.
Thanks for
Thank
having
you.
us.
Take care. And thank you for being with me with another edition of Capital City Matters. We'll see you next month where we explore something else. Take care.
Take